Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Still playing around with the proper times to try to do this. Today, what in time was a suggestion. I was still going to do it at another time, but I got something else going on tonight. And I want to get back in touch with folks because I did a good bit of a hiatus there where I wasn't doing my live streams, and I really needed to get back into it so folks know what's going on. So, what I'm going to concentrate on today is going to be like what these numbers are telling us out in the real estate streets. So, you can kind of position yourself, whether you're a buyer or a seller or something else. So, one of the things I'm going to do here, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so here we go. So, let me go ahead and make it bigger because you don't want to see my face. So, we can look at what's been going on over the last few weeks and kind of see where the market is going. So if we just look at February here, and I'll just start with the 7th. Now, look, we started at 33.30, then went up 33.36, and now 34.17. That's the number that's active. So what are these numbers telling us? Well, some people go like, oh, you see, there's even more houses available. Well, not necessarily. Uh, yeah, there's more houses, but there is a lot of demand out there, a lot of pent up demand, and that's causing uh, the reason that the prices aren't coming down. Things right now would be absolutely wild if folks, if the interest rates got down to like 5.5% right now. I'm already talking to folks. Yesterday, I was talking to people that they have buyers when they looked at houses. Every house they put an offer in on so far yesterday, should put in 4 offers. Every one of them had multiple offers, and they didn't win. So maybe we'll come up with a solution for that. But when you look at it, and if I move a little slow, something is going on with my shoulder. I don't know if I stressed it out or something, but it is what it is. So let's look here. So under contract is actually starting to go down. And this is a reflection from that yo-yo head fake that we had from interest rates, because a lot of folks, they went like, oh man, interest rates got down to 6.5%. I'll just make that up. And then they come back and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, it's probably going to go down some more. So they held off, and now interest rates are going back up. And as of right now the data that I'm giving you is not me saying this. This is the National Mortgage. Hold on a second here. So this comes from Mortgage News Daily. If you want to, this is actually not a required password app or something. I believe the National. Man, why is it not showing me what the rate is? I'm thinking that's a phone issue. Hold on here. Let's try that again. So okay, there we go. So as of right now, nationally, you can get lower rates depending on what part of the country you're in. So I'm not uh, going in and like giving you any kind of rates. I'm not a lender. So 7.14% for a 30-year fixed, 6.55% for a 15-year fixed. FHA on a 30-year is 6.63. Jumbo, not as many people doing jumbos, but you could be out there. 7.39, a 5-1 arm, 6.82%, which is probably not too bad. I just don't like variable rate mortgages. You're getting a lower rate, and rates are probably going to come down. They're pegging by the end of the year. Rates are going to be down to about 7%. I'm sorry, 6%. So I don't know how much that's going to spark folks. 30-year VA, 6.64%. Again, I don't know why VA is more expensive than FHA, but it's, not that much more. compared to what you're paying on a 30-year, because that 30-year was a little bit ridiculous there. Getting back here. So we had 38 expire. It's actually been pretty normal for the market last little bit. So if you just look back all the way to June, 44, 43, 38, that 346, that's because at the end of most months, especially at the end of the year, you're going to have a lot of expires because agents will set their listings to expire on the last of the month, which gives you a flood of expireds. And like I've said before, expireds are folks who usually set their price too high for the condition. Yet the funniest thing is when they come in with the second agent, or third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I've seen as many as 8 agents, and then they do what they need to do. Oh, let's see here. We had some withdrawals. I'm sorry. So we had some souls. As you can see, sales are actually going up. Days on market, they're actually going up, believe it or not. So both the average and the median days on market are going up. Sales price average 577. Interesting. Okay. So week by week, you can see that the median, which is the most accurate figure, especially here in Las Vegas, because here in Las Vegas, a lot of people don't realize this. We have some expensive housing. There is actually a billionaire's row that's being built. There's all kinds of places like Askia, McDonald Highlands, just multi-million dollar homes. And I think when I did my market update that hopefully should be out today, I'm still waiting for it from the editor. The highest priced house was $34 million. 460 actually shows the prices jumped, because if you look, it keeps going up. Now, last month the board said that the median was 445. So I'm wondering if this affected it right here. You see there were a lot of sales that week, and it drove it down. That could be it. I don't know. Okay, so price reductions, they're actually, I don't know, I'd call it getting better. This is the least amount of price reductions except for, the week of Christmas when no one's doing anything. Sales list price to sales price, still pretty steady. I would call that, because a couple months ago it was 98.2%. Now it's still 98.2%, which means in my mind, you don't have, even though we just talked about multiple offers and everything, you don't have the situation where, the multiple offers lead to prices above the list price. So I really would have wished to talk to her a little bit more on that one yesterday and see, like, hey, you got this, you've been with a buyer, put in 4 offers, you lost 4 times. Is there something else going on? Like they're still not getting to the price they need to be at, which may be closer to the list price. But I don't see so far too many people going nuts and putting the prices out there too high. So weeks of inventory. This one is devastating. Look at this. Just down, 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 down. Fortunately, we have a decent number of new listings coming. And back on markets is actually up. Thinking about doing a video. I'm not sure about it yet, about the buyers, because in my market update video that I did a few days ago that I'm waiting to back from the editor, all of my sales this year have canceled for the same thing. inspections. People are getting hard on inspections, and they want a lot more fixed than they did even a few months ago. And each one of them is like, if they don't play ball, I'm out. And they didn't play ball, they were out. Uh, and when I talked to the listing agent, she was like, yeah, I've had a whole bunch of cancellations so far, and it's because of inspections. So, with that, I would say get your home inspected prior, because I found out in some parts of California, this is unusual here, that it's normal for the seller to get an inspection before putting the house on the market. And the reason is to counter the kind of stuff we just had here. And even on one of my buyers went cancel, it's like, well, they should have done an inspection first because they're used to something else in another market. And the reason, I was talking to a broker out there who happened to be the individual's son. It was like, yeah, we do inspections ahead of time before it's even on the market and get everything fixed, because we don't have time to waste. Because let's say you've been in contract for 10, 15 days, and then you can't come to an agreement. Okay, great. You put it back on the market, but you could have sold it to someone who would have closed. So just one of those things to keep in the back of your noggin there if you're a seller. For buyers, I always say the things you got to get fixed are, safety, health, healthy. Safety, health, and water. Anything that's on water, it's a no-go. Because you don't know how much damage that's going to do. Sometimes there has to be some kind of compromise, because on one of them that canceled, it was in a high-rise on the Strip. And the individual for that high-rise, I'm not going to name it right now, talked to the building handyman, and it's like every the sliding doors go out to the balcony. He's like, every one of them, like none of them work in the entire building. And the individual wanted them working for the locks. And it was like the company went out of business. The only way, you could maybe able to find a lock. And last time I looked, they were like $450, which means they're probably $600, $700, $800 now for each one. And they were like, 2 sliding doors to the balcony. Well, most of the places there where they don't want the thing to open, because they figure no one's going to be able to get up there. I guess Spider-Man. And, they had the little things that come down and lock it out. So, like the kids can't open it. Person's like, well, my grandkids visit and I don't want them opening that. All I could think was, and none of them do they actually lock. It just puts a lock where no one can come in from the outside. Your grandkids can't unlock it. That seems to be a little harder than lifting a bar. Like, no solution would he go for. It is what it is. Yeah, and the last one we canceled for the roof, and the reason is just he wanted the entire roof replaced, which may not happen. Never can tell. You can always ask, but it just goes into it. Okay, so let's get into this one here, and then we'll get into my current numbers. Again, I want to thank Mike from my office who puts these out for us. So if you look, and we're just going to be looking year over year. So this goes back to 2020. Back in 2020, we had 4346 this time of month, which is right before the dreaded COVID started. Then we got to 2021, where it's 1998. Now, we all know what happened in 2021. If you don't know, my goodness, every house was selling for 30 to 50,000 over, which is not a great thing. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, that was great. And then we got into 2022, still low, 1832. Then we popped up. This is when interest rates were going up, and you see how it affected stuff. But now we are 1,500 lower than it was a year ago. See, like days on market, right before COVID started, 50. Now let's go to median. 28. In case you wonder why there's a big split between the average and median, you got all those people who have their houses on the market for a year because they refuse to do anything or fix anything. But when you take it all into account, it was 28 days. Now, again, 10 days, 10, then 8. Remember, these were the times 30 to 50 over, all the way up to 42. And now down to about 25 or so. Now, if you look just overall where we stood, so back before COVID, 325 was the median price. 350, I'm surprised it should have been more than that. Then look, $100,000 jump. So people made 25% on their money. Then, of course, this wasn't the top. The actual top was a few months after that, which was 482. Everything was just out of control. Then we get down to the 420 here and back to 460. So other than a year ago, you can see how much folks have made. So somebody who had a house back here or bought a house here is, what's that, $135,000 ahead. So over a period of time, you're always going to do well. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. Let's look at the local numbers, and then we'll get into some more stuff. So over the last 7 days, we had 778 new listings. Let's see if we can compare that against what we had here. Where is it? New listings, 518. Oh my goodness. So that week was 518, which is actually, he did yesterday. And this actually is single family. So this includes the other stuff. We'll break that down for you. Anybody wants to see something, remember this is also Q&A time. Just go ahead and ask any questions. Also, what do you think of this day and time for a live stream? Just get yourself a little catch up here and everything. Okay, 178 back on market. Price decreases of 455, increases of 96. Never understand those. Under contracts, we got 323 and 553 sold. 621 expired. 54 according to this, but that's all housing markets. I mean, all housing types. And we got 80 coming soon. This contingent on sale is a new one. A lot of these may actually be that. This is like contingent upon sale of a house or something. So we don't know what's going to really happen there. Because some of these that are under contract show are contingent upon the house. The agent just didn't use this new one here. Waiting to see if anybody has any questions. I got a couple of people on here. Okay, no questions. Okay, let's go ahead and go into something. Hold on 1 second here. Sorry, I didn't get everything set up the way I wanted to, because there I was getting set up and I got a call from the VA. And if you know, they just, will talk slow because I guess they're used to dealing with older veterans. And you don't want to tick them off because, trust me, you don't want to tick off the VA. Let's see here. Okay. And trust me, it's real funny because they'll call you up and cancel your appointment in a heartbeat. But if you have to cancel for an appointment you made 6 months ago, they'll be like, "Oh, we need an explanation of why you're canceling." What? then then they'll just cancel on you the next time. It's like, we don't have to have an explanation. So anyway, last week we covered the residential purchase agreement, and I just wanted to take a little more time with it today. We're not going through the entire thing. We're just going to go through the first page or two. So you point out a few little things. The biggest one is EMD, this earnest money deposit. Again, that is 1 to 2%. You do not have to give them what they want. I suggest if they want something crazy, don't give it to them, because my experience has been when they ask for something crazy, there's a reason they're asking for something crazy. And I kind of like to tell people a little bit of how things work. The way things actually work is, yeah, I can tell you all the things in here you can get your EMD back for. There are people who are like, we don't care. And here's the thing. The title companies, escrow companies, will not give you your EMD back, even if you did everything you were supposed to do, until both parties agree to it. Even if, like, let's say it's within due diligence, which we talked about last time, they don't care. It lets the seller and the buyer sign off. And my experience is when people don't ask for something crazy, like it's a $500,000 house, which should be about $5,000. They ask for 15, 20. Their excuse is, oh, we want to just make sure that the buyer is serious. Buyer is serious when they put their money out there. Reason they want that is because they're planning to keep it, in my opinion. So be very careful with that. And if you were to put in $5,000 for that $500,000 house, there's a good chance they're going to say, no, I asked for 15. That's a red flag, in my opinion. Also, you have 2 days, business days, to get that out there. I had a client. It's one of the ones I talked about. It's the high-rise person. They pretended they didn't know, they couldn't figure out how to send the EMD. They couldn't. They pretended this. We had everybody on the phone with them. It's like, okay, I'm going out today and doing it. Well, we're like 15 days into this. The person admitted to me they had never planned to pay the EMD until they got everything they wanted, because they didn't want to take a chance because of how high the seller wanted EMD for. They don't want to take a chance. Well, thing is, you got to have this money and you're supposed to pay it within 2, or you're out of contract. If you're in a hot market, you could actually lose the house that you're looking at. Also, it's one of those, I remember several years ago, I had a client and that he didn't pay the EMD, and it was like a low amount. It wasn't even normal. It was like $1,000. And I was like, how come you haven't paid this? It was like, well, I don't have the money. What? You don't have $1,000? It's like, no. How much can you no, do something? Maybe I can negotiate. He goes, $100. I was like, and long and short, this person was a tenant in a house that I had sold. And part of my theory, and I may get into it, maybe another part for tonight so people can understand this, is he wanted, I like tenants in there, I don't say get rid of them. I will help them move on to their next thing. I actually figured the guy would rent again, but no, because of a program we had back then, he got to move in 0 cost, buy a house 0 cost. It was actually a fantastic program. And actually, there's a program going on right now that's pretty good, but not as good as that one was. And I was like, well, what were you going to do? Because you got to have your security deposit, pay first month's rent. That's going to be a heck of a lot more than $1,000. And he was like, I don't know what I would have done. I didn't have the money. So anyway, that's the way it is. You need to have this. And if you have somebody who's asking you some questions about your EMD, like, oh, do you have, because let's say you're looking for a $400,000 house. They know the EMD is going to be about 4,000. If they're asking you those questions, like, do you have $4,000? The reason is they don't want to end up in a situation where you're not paying the EMD, because this is what holds the house, like we talked about last week. So that's the reason they're asking. They're also asking like about your finances, about closing costs. And oh, this is one I need to get into, which is really interesting. So I had a young man, he was moving to Las Vegas, and he said he needed help with his closing costs. At the time, you could probably get some closing costs. And asked him how much he needed. And he told me. So it was like, I mean, I'm not making the number up. I think it was $8,000. And every time we put in for to ask for closing costs, rejection. And I finally went, so you don't have any money set aside to buy a house? It's like, oh, I've got money. It's just that the closing costs are so much. And I'm like, well, how much did your lender tell you about the closing costs? He goes, gave me the letter from the lender, and it showed that he needed like this exorbitant amount, like $12,000. He's like, I got four. I'm like, okay, first of all, this lender's not doing you any favors, because he wasn't a veteran or anything. He had to pay, down payment, plus he had another four. So he had the down payment and a four. So I'm looking, that's like, these numbers aren't right. And I call up the lender, and it's like, well, we always just tell people to get 3%. That's just the dumbest stuff in the world. There's another one. When a lender tells you a hard number like that, just ask for 3% for your closing cost. They're charging too much. They're doing too much because they're expecting to collect something on the other end. And there's all kinds of fees they can collect. And especially if you're like a veteran, man, there's a lot of places out there that will not charge you some of these fees. And that was it right there. I mean, this didn't even include, I think he may have even had to pay those fees, but they just had this blanket number that they put out there. And as soon as I looked at that, called the lender, figured out what was going on, we started asking for 4,000. You had four, needed about 8 for closing, asked for 4, the very next house he got. So be very cognizant of that. Make sure you're getting the right numbers in there. Okay, let's see. As far as the loan types, we talked about that last week. The only thing I would say is reach out, and I can put you in contact with somebody. We got some new like zero down programs for conventional FHA. Some of them are like a second mortgage, or not a second mortgage, a silent second. So it's a grant. The only thing is you have to live in the place for 3 whole years or something. So look for programs like that. If you don't have the money, there is actually a whole bunch of money out there for you. If you ever run across a situation where you need to be put in contact with somebody who works with these programs, let me know. There's, just tons of money and tons of stuff you can do out there. It's just unbelievable. So let's get on. Please make sure that you have your loan application done, and not do this stuff about, I'm going to find the right house for me. And once I find the right house, I'm going to apply for a loan. I know my credit is good. The number of times I heard that, and they really did believe their credit was good. It's just that they didn't know there was something there that didn't belong there, and it can take longer than you expect. The minimum time before looking for a house, I would start looking at a loan. Minimum, just bare minimum. Not even talk about moving in. I'm talking looking for a house. If you have to take a loan out, you need to start looking at that 3 months out, not waiting a month out, not driving into town and going, oh, okay, what do we have? And I'll look for a loan. No. Also, the realtor may ask some, especially the listing agent, because they're going to call around. I had this one individual, I think I talked about it last time. I don't know what was up with them because we deal with some interesting folks. So I kept asking over and over and over again for their pre-approval letter. Oh, I have it. I'll get it to you. Don't worry, I have it. And reach out to the lender, and the lender finally sends it to her. First, it wasn't even the lender that supposedly she was working with, and then I get the application, and I ask the questions that I know every listing agent is going to ask. And you ran all of this through Desktop Underwriter. You checked the tax returns and all this stuff, and went, no, I haven't done any of that. And I'm like, how is this a pre-approval? And she's like, well, she keeps promising she's going to get me the information. But then why'd you issue a pre-approval? That's a pre-qualification when you go by their numbers. Well, she was so insistent. I mean, it was a tussle. It's like, this is trash. Then the person, at one point, we had to, was showing her places up in another city. I had another agent do it. And the person tells me, I don't want to get too deep into their business, but they kept looking for new homes at a new home builder. And they had been banned for life from ever buying a home from that home builder. Banned for life nationwide. And we saw a bunch of homes from that home builder. Of course, when the person showed up again, they're like, well, I have a pre-approval. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have a pre-approval. Just insistent. Be honest, that's all I'm going to cover on that today. I see we've got more folks here. Anybody have any questions? A lot of this is Q&A. Other than that, I'm just dancing around a little bit to entertain you until somebody asks a question and I can get deeper into stuff. The next one I'm going to cover, because that's all I'm going to cover for the day. Rest of this, now we can cover another time. I just want to get deeper into those things. Those are the main ones that I talked about. Now, what I want to cover today is one that is and it kind of brought it up to me. Somebody asked, sent me a text, asked about help them find a rental. No, they were referred by a past client. A lot of people have an issue finding rentals here, and it's just the way the market is, because here, I can't speak for other places that I don't know about, but I know like on the East Coast, if you find a rental for someone, you get 1 month of rent. That's your commission. In New York City, it's like 1 to 2 months of rent. If you remember Seinfeld, well, not Seinfeld, but George Costanza, the first few seasons, that's what he did. He was a rental agent, and that's how he made his living. Well, here, you're doing it as a favor pretty much. Only new agents normally do rentals because they don't know any better. They're just doing it for a little bit of pocket money, and it really is little when you figure this out. Sometimes you're actually paying to help somebody find a house. I'm not even talking about your hourly pay as minimum wage. Even if you help somebody and everything went great, you're barely going to make minimum wage at the current minimum wage, because people who are looking for rentals are looking for a house that they have to live in for a year, 5 years, lifetime. We've all known them lifetime renters. Well, they want a good house, so they want to go all and see all these places. So a lot of times you'll put in more work helping someone with a rental than you will helping somebody buy a house. Now, I'm about to tell you how it works around here. Average right now to help somebody out to find a rental is you get about $250, and your broker still takes a little piece of that because you still got to pay E&O insurance. The broker's got to process it because it has to go to your broker. So you get, let's say if you're lucky, $200 out of that $250. You went out 3-4 times with that person seeing houses. you've burned up $100 in gas right there or more, according to what you're driving. And then, you're going helping them with everything. And then the rental situation around here is there is no standard way to put in an application. Some of them do it online. Some of them have their own forms. Some of them use the forms that are put out by Las Vegas Realtor. Now, how do you get it to them? Some of them only will take it if you go into the office. Some of them, like I said, are online. Those are the easy ones. And some of them will allow for email. See, a whole bunch of stuff. And I actually saw when I was helping somebody with a rental. Now, no matter how many times I say this, somebody's going to reach out. I'm not a rental agent. The reason I was helping them is I always help somebody who is in my sphere. So like the individual who ended up buying a house, I thought was just a renter that I talked about earlier. It's like, hey, my buyer, they need to be able to move into their house. I need to get you out. So I'm going to help you find a rental. And it's so bad. I remember one time I was actually back in Atlanta for a wedding. And I get a call from someone. I don't know how they got my information. Called me and asked me to help them with a rental. Well, it's like, well, I'm in Atlanta. I can't help you. So I passed it over to a friend. When she told me the rest of the story, it blew me away. The person was purchasing a house and wasn't going to be ready for 6 months. So they were building a house from the ground up. They sold their house, but it sold quicker than they expected. And buyers wanted to move in, and they got so much money, they didn't want to turn it down. Okay, cool. The agent who helped them sell the house helped them with the new home. Would not help them get into a rental until the home was ready. Can you believe that? Yeah, I do. I get it all the time. If you go to our Facebook group, there are people who are, their own family will go like, oh, can you help my cousin find a house, to rent? They don't ever ask if my cousin needs to buy a house. Can you help them? My cousin needs to sell a house. No, it's only for rentals. They're asking for help. And that's because it's ridiculous. I was helping somebody getting ready to list his house. Fingers crossed nothing happens, because this town is crazy and the realtors are twice as crazy. Got stories on that. I was trying to help him find a rental, and I'm looking in like the commission portion. They were paying $50. By the way, the other rental that I was looking at for him, that he sent me, $75. Yeah. So that is the reason you have an issue. And I think some people play a game of, oh, I'm coming to Las Vegas, I'm going to buy a house. They show up and then they go, you know what? I want to wait a bit. So can you help me find a rental until I'm ready? I think it's something they've figured out, because I'm serious. It really is hard to find somebody to help you out. I'm lucky, like a lot of times when people do reach out and I try to help them, I got it to younger agents or something. But, everybody needs housing. Problem is, it's a messed up system. And that messed up system ends up just hurting folks. And still, no comments. Come on. By now, I expected somebody to have a question about what's going on. Okay, let me try something else here. I want to do at least an hour, I think. Now, this is a video that I'm working on. I may record it tonight. You're kind of getting a preview of it. Actually, I'm just going to do it like this. So, I was going to do a little tour of Las Vegas, because a lot of people's like, no, it's been a long time since I've been to Vegas. I mean, what's going on? Where should I live and all this stuff? I can't tell you where to live, but I can tell you this much. what's going on here. So when we come in here, let's start with Las Vegas. So if somebody's in here looking outside of town here, Las Vegas will shock you about what's going on as far as where it's actually located. So close this down, come back here. This is actually Las Vegas. Look at that. Even got this big portion in the middle here that's missing. So what is that? That is unincorporated Clark County. All these little holes. Unincorporated Clark County. So fortunately for us, our like police, they're actually the sheriff. So back in, I think, the 80s or something, the police department and sheriff's department merged. So that takes care of that. And that's why we have good police coverage. And then like North Las Vegas, I should have actually left that on there. I'll come back to it. It's this area over here. Now, what's missing from this? Because it's actually like on their city symbol, city seal, and everything else. Nellis Air Force Base. They used to call themselves the gateway to Nellis. They are the gateway. So before you get to the gate, North Las Vegas stops. It's a military reservation, so it's its own place. And let's just get down to Henderson here. Hold on a second. Still waiting for a question. And down here is Henderson. And you see there's this little track here. It's carved out. Unincorporated Clark County. Now, if you notice, Las Vegas was up here. Even though they kind of have it here, it actually ends here. But what's all this stuff? And over here, which wasn't part of Las Vegas. This is unincorporated Clark County, and you have these unincorporated areas. Like this is going to blow you away. So the Las Vegas Strip is not in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Strip is in two places, Paradise, and hold on, let's see if I can get it up here. I'm going to show you Paradise. So that's Paradise. And look at that. There's the Strip. It's not even in Las Vegas. Now, this area here, I'm not going to bring it up, is actually called Winchester. And the only hotel on the Strip that is considered a Strip hotel is the Strat. And it is the only one that is actually in Las Vegas. So the Sahara, Circus, Resorts World, the Westgate, the Convention Center, they're in Westchester. The rest of the Strip is in Paradise. Now, of course, for those of you who don't live here, what's going on is like a lot of places, people like to grab money. And when they relocated the Strip here, because the original Strip is actually up here. It's this is the original Strip here. Like you look at old movies, the Golden Nugget and all that stuff. This is the original Strip, which is now on Fremont Street. Well, they didn't want, when I say they, the casino owners, they didn't want Las Vegas involved in anything. So they actually worked with the county to carve out this stuff here so the city wouldn't have anything to do with them. And I just did that, like looking at myself. Yeah, so they carved all of this out working with the county, so the city couldn't grab any of their money. You also have big areas like Spring Valley here. That's another unincorporated place. You got, what do you call that place? Sunrise Vista. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to try to do a good video, hopefully tonight. We'll see, because after this, I got something else. And then if I'm still feeling well, like I said, my shoulder is killing me right now. Yeah, this is Enterprise. This one's huge too. Okay, now we got something. 2 questions. Okay, what's the next up and coming area besides North Las Vegas? Oh, we got some good ones here. Hold up. I'm going to put you out there for a sec. So 2 questions. 1, what's the next up and coming area besides North Las Vegas? To be honest, North Las Vegas is a good up and coming area right now because there are so many jobs coming. There are thousands, and I mean thousands of jobs because of Apex. So if you go out there, you see all this new stuff going, you got all these business parks. And right now, it's actually less expensive than most of Las Vegas. As far as up and coming, the Northwest, they are building so much stuff up here, it's not even funny. If you've been looking at my videos, you'll see all of these videos I've been doing up there, like Sunstone and stuff. They are just tearing it up here in the Northwest, because back in my day, see like Cow Canyon here, this was not this big interchange. It was just like you could take a little left. This actually goes up to the mountain and everything. Now it's like a whole big interchange. Man, I went there looking at houses with a buyer, and I'm like, this is nowhere near where it was, because this was nothing, just flat out. There used to be this this little shack here, and people would, like photographers, would take pictures in it. One of the guys in my squadron was a professional photographer. But this is really up and coming. But the prices are going to be lower than Summerlin, but higher than a North Las Vegas. And there's a lot of new construction going on in Las Vegas. And if you are, because I'm talking to somebody about this one now, they are building like crazy around this VA. So if you're a veteran and you're looking to be close to the VA for some reason, there's a lot of new construction here. Your second question, home builders install solar? Yes, there are. It's actually becoming, it's not California or anything, but it's actually becoming a thing where home builders are starting to install solar on all of their new builds. If you want me to do another video just talking about the new builds who install solar, because it's got to be a complementary video to the solar video I want to put out, because, man, there's a lot of screw jobs out there. Just talking real quick about solar, people don't realize what's happened. If you live here in Vegas, it's like every other house has solar on it now. And one of the reasons has to do with financial institutions who discovered a new cash cow. So they go, you see these places like, you could get solar and you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. So what people are doing, and what's really like driving this right now, you see everybody getting solar. If you live here in Vegas, you see your bills have just boom exploded. And so now people are afraid, and they're going like, okay, if I get the solar and I only have to pay them $250 and I'm paying $350 over here, I'm saving $100 a month. Well, they base that on a lot of things. This has to get into a deeper, much deeper video. Let's say the solar actually costs $40,000. I'm going to make that number up. Well, you say, well, okay, they go like, okay, we will lease you this. So, we will finance the solar for 2.99%. You go like, oh man, 2.99%. Well, they don't make their money off of that. That $40,000 solar, they sold to you for $65,000. And then they finance 2.99% on that. And it gets even worse because that number they give you. So let's say you use a lot of electricity, got a big house or something, got a pool and all this stuff. And they say, okay, you'll only have to pay $250 a month. But they always keep talking about that same thing. The rebate you get for solar, the rebate. Well, that rebate's not what you think it is. So first of all, within 18 months, you have to turn over that rebate amount to the solar company. They don't tell you that one. That's the one they hide from you. If you don't turn over that solar money from the government, aka rebate, which is not really a rebate like you think it is, here's what happens. That $250 bill goes up to $350 or whatever it's going to be. That is what really happens with solar. And then people are like, I was paying $250. What happened to $350? Okay, let's say you buy solar and you get a $10,000 rebate. Okay, that rebate is against your income. It's not a refundable credit like earned income tax credit or something. So if you owe $5,000 in taxes, you just don't pay it, but there's still $5,000 there, which you roll over to the next year. But remember, within 18 months, and maybe within those 2 years you've gotten it back, you have got to write a check to the solar company for that $10,000, or else your rates go up. They don't tell you that one up front. But with the new bills, it's actually financed into the house. So they may or may not be apportioned properly, because some of them are just sticking like X number of units, kilowatt hours on the roof. You may use more, you may use less, but that gets into a deeper video that would be very long, which I actually need to make. Okay, next one I got. Okay, prone to flooding, Lavelle. Most of the city does not flood except when we have unusual rain like crazy. So this isn't, even though it's a desert and sometimes the desert can't just suck it up that quick, I have rarely seen actual honest to goodness flooding. I think one time I saw it where it was like bad or whatever you want to call it. I just turned around, got my SUV and drove to work 35, 40 miles away up in Creech. Most sides of town, they have like installed new drains and stuff like that. So you really don't see flooding here. We're on what's known as a 500-year floodplain, so you don't have to get flood insurance. And I've never personally heard about anyone having like a flood where they needed any of that stuff here. So my mouth to the ears of God, we ain't got no flood in here. I hope that answers your question. So, and it was not off topic. As a matter of fact, I think, the long list of videos I need to make, I probably should make one on flooding and talk about the floodplain and everything else, because there actually some parts of town, even when I arrived here, did have some issues. And then there was this major, it was really sucky, where they put in new drainage systems around town. So I don't know if that was done by the cities or by Clark County, because I saw like right over the border for Decatur is North Las Vegas. I saw them putting them in there, but I haven't seen any place else. About the biggest thing I can say about when it like rains really, really hard, I don't know where they come from, but you'll have dang near boulders in the middle of the street. And I don't know where they came from, but they're here. Okay. Hope that answers your question. Is there anybody else who have any questions? I want to make this a good Q&A. Also, please tell me down below or tell me right in here if this is a good time. Because, I used to do them on Sundays, those who may be watching this later or something. And then I kind of got out of that habit. Someone kind of temporarily talked me out of doing the live streams. And I'm like, well, okay. And then I had comments like, man, I really miss your live streams. So I don't know if people really want it back on the Sundays or this time. This is actually the time that someone told me is the best time to do it, because you see the first one I did on Thursday at 6, and then I did Sunday at 6. I mean, both of them did okay, but I'm just trying to see that I'm servicing folks and they're getting what they need from these live streams. Also, if there are any like mini topics that you want me to cover, like say I just talked about that stuff about the contract and about the EMD, because I was going a little bit deeper than going through the entire contract. Ask me those questions. Anything else that's coming up, and I got to review this new shoot, I should review it here in front of y'all. Hold up. Because they just put out a new I don't know, should I be reviewing it in front of you? Let me look here. Because I haven't even looked at it yet. I was looking in our Facebook group, and because like when I did the big video on, and it was live stream on like the purchase agreement, I was talking about the, see, it's this, they have their own one. I think the lawyers put it out, and this is the buyer broker agreement. This is quickly becoming just the standard nationwide. And like here in Vegas, only about 20% of agents use them. I would actually use them for maybe a year or so, and then it's like, you know what, if they don't want to work with me, whatever. But it has to do with the stupidity of, oh my God, I'm sorry I said that loud. it had on a live stream. It has to do with all these lawsuits that are going on that are just nothing but money grabs. So right now, they're saying that if you don't have a contract with your realtor, the seller doesn't have to pay your agent. And I'm sure you want your agent to be paid, or at least I hope you want your agent to be paid. So this is the result. Something being forced down people's throats. And it's actually about to get even worse because the Justice Department, I'm not going to speak to it too much, wants everything decoupled, after 120 years, literally. All of a sudden, it's evil for the seller to pay you, but that's always been baked into the price. I guarantee you the sellers don't want to receive X amount less. We're not allowed to say percentages. I'm sure the seller, they're expecting to get all of it. So it'll be a surprise if people could start going like, oh, well, you're not paying a commission. I got to pay my own agent, so I'm going to subtract X amount from my offer. And then you're going to have a lot of people who can't afford to pay their agents. It's just really going to be a bad thing, because the things I fear, one, veterans. It is actually in the law that veterans cannot pay something like that. So what, every veteran? I mean, even if I wanted to, I couldn't pay that. So how am I going to buy a house? You see how stupid this is? I really fear for people who need a little bit of help. If you'd had to ask for closing costs so you could be able to have a house, where's the money going to come from? So I now have to ask for you to pay my agent's commission. And now I got to ask for closing costs. Somebody, even doesn't matter what amount it is, people lose it. It's like I've literally seen people get $50,000, $60,000 over their list price. And the list price was a fair list price just because people were just being nuts because everybody wanted a house. And then when it comes to inspections or something like that, it's like, I'm not fixing any of that. In the back of my mind, I'm going, you just got $60,000 extra dollars and $70,000 in the last house that sold. You don't have $4,000 or $5,000 to do this or to help somebody pay their closing cost. Oh, first of all, somebody who's bidding $60,000 over, they shouldn't be asking for closing costs. Just a hint. Okay, I got another one. Okay, thank you, Tracy. This time of week, time of day and week is fine through. Okay. So other than next week, which I'm going to be at a conference, which is what's really frightening me right now because of my shoulder. I don't know how I'm going to get around. I'm already trying to figure that out because I'm staying at another hotel and I got to like walk down. I've been trying to think of crazy stuff like I have a little Segway. You know how they make them now. And I was like to like go down there because there's like a tunnel through the casinos because I'm staying down on the strip for it, and I could like like segue my way there. Then I'm like afraid of what will happen when one of the guards go like, "You can't ride that in here." So I'm like thinking about like pulling out my VA disability card and going like, "I'm disabled. This is the way I get around." But you know, that's like on that level. These people who have their dogs, they put those fake things on them and say they're a service dog. It's just people trying to get over. Okay, we're at our hour here. So, I think it was a little bit productive. Uh, I really want somebody to leave some comments what they want covered in these live streams because my current format that I'm going to try to do, and there's another spam call, is start off with the numbers. If you want like a particular neighborhood, that's just like a quick hit. Just leave that or come in, ask in the in here, and we'll try to hit it. But I'm hoping to hit most of the new home builds and the communities around them as much as I can lately or over the next few months. And if you notice, I've been pushing new home builds a lot, and there's a good reason for that. They pay your closing cost. You ain't got to worry about paying your agent. They're going to pay them. So another thing you're going to worry about with this new environment we're living in right now. And they buy down the interest rate. So what I say, 7.14%. There's one lender doing a 321 at like 2.99%. Hold on. Let's see if I can open that up because this is just unbelievable. Hold on. I don't want to quote interest rates too much because I'm not a lender. But let me see what this lender is doing right now. And one of the reasons I was hesitant a little bit on doing these at this time had to do with the fact that let's say somebody wants to see a house, then I got to cancel or slide it or something because usually most people they're done with looking at houses about 5 or 6. Okay, so they're doing a wow. Okay, let me slide this over. Get back in here. You can see it. It's not going to do it. Okay, so let me show it to you. Look at this. 2-1 conventional buy down. 3.5% in your first year. 4.5% in the second year, and then 5.5 on a conventional. So that's 1 point, almost 7.5 less. And that's if interest rates don't go down. So if the pundits are correct, it's going to be down to 6%, but still you're saving money. Let's pretend it gets down to 4.5, 5.5 here, because I think it needs to get down to about 4. But here, you know, everything's done, the election's done, and we're down to 5%. All you got to do is refinance right here. Boom, look at all that money you saved. And you're in a new place, and they paid your closing costs and everything else. That's the beauty of it. Oh, and by the way, the spread, and I probably need to do another video. The spread between a new home and a previously owned home, I don't want to say used because people get ticked off, is not as much as it used to be. So getting into a new home is not much more than buying a pre-owned home, previously owned home, seasoned home. So that's pretty much it. Okay, past our hour here. Anybody have any questions? I still got 20 minutes until I have to be on another call. I want to make sure everybody has any questions they have answered. For those of you who are looking at this in the replay, if there's something you want to see on these, like I said, other than next week, I'm going to go back to my weeklies and if everyone says this is a good day and time, it's like, hey, this is perfect for me. You know, don't say Sunday at 10 a.m. or something like that. Ain't gonna happen. Unless a whole bunch of people say it. Maybe it'll happen. Possibly. uh, but come up with, just tell me what's a good day. I'll try to do that. If enough people say something about it, one or two, it's probably going to stay this time since this is what I was suggested. I really want to bring value to you. If there's something that you see that you want to see in these little quick hits, let me know, because we can get deeper into solar. I could do a video on a certain neighborhood. May want me to drill down deeper into it. Or like when I was doing that little demonstration of what I'm planning to do next, which is hopefully a video tonight. If my shoulder holds out, I'm not in too much pain, where I start going over the different parts of Las Vegas. Because my original plan, when I showed it to someone, was like, man, this is a lot of stuff. This is like 10 videos. So maybe it'll be the initial now, and then as we kind of figure things out, we'll go out, because one of the things I'm missing is I can't figure out where my little drawing program is, or the name of it, especially when you have too much crap in your computer. So I'm going to call that it for the night, because I don't see any more views. We're past that. Again, hit that subscribe button. If you need any help, reach out, call, text, email. My information should be below. If I'm not, I'm going to be ticked off at my assistant. And we will get this all taken care of for you. Enjoy yourselves. Bye.